Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, the Chief Strategic Officer at TeacherLab.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead. It's Tuesday. Hope everyone had a decent day. Put a little bit of all the news headlines about what happened in Manchester. Just try and file it back somewhere because definitely crazy and definitely could get you really boiled up and pissed and frustrated. And we all have the right to feel that way, right? To target little kids at a concert. It's just kind of crazy because we all have kids and we all know everyone has it. Just whatever, let's get past that. Let's get to the trading. Kind of an uneventful day. Some would have thought that the market would open lower based on the fact that there was a pretty big terrorist attack, in Manchester. But Europe kind of blew it off. Well, not blew it off. So that's a bad word. Wow, very bad word. Rallied around it versus selling off, and then our futures took that cue. I did see some rotation today. We've been seeing some rotation back and forth, where one day the Russell's a little bit stronger than the financials, the next day the financials a little bit stronger than the Russell, while the spiders are crawling up, and then tech, picks and chooses the days that it wants to outperform. So for today, tech kind of, was off to the side, opened stronger and sold down. The financials were a little stronger, probably thinking that the Fed minutes could be a little hawkish tomorrow, and then that means a June hike, and that's usually good for the banks and decent for the small caps. So it all kind of makes sense as you head into these type of events. So you look here at the S&P. All in all, this trend that was broken last Wednesday, wound up having no effect on the overall market. Why didn't it have any effect? Because the sellers had no control of the bounce. If the sellers were strong and there are sellers everywhere, it would have probably rejected price somewhere around this 23.80 and maybe not even let the market take back the 50-day so fast. So that gave some clues that Wednesday did not dictate what's next. So now here we are right back at the top of the range, after a 4-day move, ahead of the Fed minutes tomorrow. We'll see whether or not maybe we can go sideways first, which would be good, let the moving averages catch up, and then perhaps go to the upside. Last time we were here was a very lethargic situation because a lot of people figured that we would break above 2,400, go to 2,440, and then that happened. And when something like that happens, usually get some active traders, that are a little risk averse out of their names, and sometimes it's hard to get back in those names. Then you have some people probably shorting around here that might have not did it with a plan, and they're still short, and they're worried about, oh my goodness, do I have to, roll it up or cover if we make new highs? So you have people less long that they were in here and some caught short. So who knows what kind of dynamic that makes into Memorial Day weekend. So at this point, I'm kind of rotating around. I came in this morning, long mostly tech, long Apple, long Amazon, long Baba. They all opened up. And today, I'm not long either one of them. Why am I not long it? Look at Apple. Apple, not saying it's the end of the world, but here's your high. And today, it opened up, didn't hold the prior day's high of 154.58, which was a signal for me to sell, and closed red while the rest of the market was kind of hanging in there. So does it mean that Apple is never going to make a new high again? No. Does it mean it put in a lower high, and potentially if tech wants to come in, it can come in and test a 21-day? So I'm not long Apple overnight because I'm an active trader, and I could maneuver. Tomorrow, if it opened down and reclaimed today's low and you saw some sideways action, maybe I'll buy it back. But to me, this is giving me no active reason to be in it overnight. Amazon, I was in it overnight also, was up $4 or $5, sold some. This really didn't give me much of a reason to get out. I just, when it went red and it looked like they were selling off tech, I got out and I figured I'll revisit. Still above the 8-day, above the 21-day, just that, sometimes it's a setup, sometimes there isn't. This last time you had a nice big base, it was a beautiful setup. Broke above it and then ran before this topping tail to give it a little corrective phase. And then it, wound up going again. So for this, it's just not, just for me, I probably should have bought it at the end of the day it in. Google was stronger than Amazon all day, a little bit of a doji. So, at this point, it probably just needs a day or so to prove that it could digest above this low over the next few sessions and probably goes again. Tiny bit extended from the 8-day and definitely extended from the 21-day, but it hasn't been there for a while. From what I've heard on Twitter, it looks like Kramer might be going over Google, so we'll see how it looks tomorrow. But Google looks a little bit more for the day, a little bit better, for tomorrow. We'll see. Baba, I was thinking that, I want to accumulate a position into, into this 3-day range, but you know what? It closed in the dead lows. It opened up and failed here, not failed, but couldn't hold higher. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of even holding, maybe tomorrow we open near the 8-day and we'll get some price discovery, and it'd be nice to be able to like potentially buy into the 8-day, let it reclaim today's low tomorrow, and just be a little bit safer. Not so bad to be safer, Last time I was accumulating like that, I was accumulating it into the 8-day already, and it closed near the highs each day before going. So I typically don't like to be long something actively at or near pivot highs that closes on the lows. Does it mean it's done and Bob is cooked? No, it just means that potentially my good book says not to be in it overnight because it's just closed real weak. Maybe there's a downgrade coming, maybe there's something coming that the computers know about that I don't. But for me, I'd rather get some price discovery and revisit it. Facebook's been very quiet, not doing a whole hell of a lot. At some point I tried to be long it this morning when red didn't really work. At some point I think it wakes up. It's on my radar. I don't have any, but you could be long versus this low here, or you could say, hey, I'm going to wait for a really strong high volume move above this and see if you can grab it. But sometimes it doesn't let you grab it and it comes out with an upgrade or something and you have to pay up. So if you don't want to pay up and you think you're going to miss something, you can be long versus low. I am not long versus that right now. Tesla's been on the weaker side. I haven't traded in a while. Broke below this range here. Okay, so to me, it's below the 8 and 21 days. So on an active basis, I wouldn't be long this thing overnight. There's no reason to be on an active basis. On a short-term basis, it might even make some sense to be shorted, right? It broke this little trend line here, was weak all day, didn't rally when other things rallied the past few days, so maybe it's got a destiny at least with the 50 days. So, good book would say if this wasn't Tesla, try a little bit of a short or a cute short, based on the price action of the last few sessions or so there. And then you do the flip side, I'm in names that I don't think are quality. Today I bought X. Why did I buy X? Because X, to me, broke a little bit above this little smaller spot. So for a trade, I'm like, hey, put a little bit of a low in there. People are kind of thinking Trump's doing a decent job overseas, yada, yada, yada. Maybe it gets to the 21-day and we could catch a tradable bounce. Not caught in this thing from 42 down to 20 and change. Hey, maybe we see 21.40 or 22. It was worth a try for me. CLF as a trade, closed pretty well. I know it's below all the moving averages, but as a trade, I'm thinking maybe it just did a rounding bottom and could come up to 735, which percentage-wise it's a lot, and trade-wise, this was your get out of Dodge quickly. Why was it your get out of Dodge quickly? Look at little red dog reversal that turned into an outside engulfing down day that came back up and was rejected halfway into that bar. So it showed that this bar had power, and then you had a bear flag, and then da-da-da-da-da-da. So at this point, I haven't traded this in a long time. Someone brought it to my attention, so I'm long a little bit. I'm long, to be honest, I'm long 3 names that are broken, and it's not quality. So what does that mean? Does it mean that we're topping? I don't know, maybe. Or does it mean that I'm reaching? It could be, but there's a reason for it. Day 1, wake up on some volume, sometimes lead to day 2. I did that yesterday with this ACIA, and I actually held it. The stock's been annihilated. Okay, if you guys remember when we were short into that secondary here, I wish I stayed short, but anyway, this was 100 and change, and it is very broken. But I don't even know where to draw this line. Either way, it seems like there's a little sideways action here. It did not fall apart. It didn't give you a way to make money if you bought it yesterday. You had to sit in it, and sometimes you have to sit an extra day for it to go sideways and then continue towards the 50-day. So I'm still in this. I actually bought it in the hole, traded it around it, didn't lose much money in it today. Could have been worse. I could have been stopped out, which I almost was, but I decided to buy more and trade around it and give it to the halfway mark, which it held. Don't know if it's going to, if it's a good decision or a bad decision, but this does have some sideways action. There was some volume on this day, and maybe you need an extra day to divert some attention, get some more people short before it goes. But all in all, that the sector still looks great. This one, too, didn't give any extra follow-through to this breakout above this level, but it also held it. So we've seen that before. But, again, we might see it again or not. So at this point, you have the Fed minutes tomorrow. They kind of pushed the small caps and the banks. Let's go into the banks. I think I actually bought Bank of America on the close. I don't know, not for any real reason except for maybe they do push it up a little bit more with the Fed minute. So there is a little bit more room if it wants it, but still pretty broken here. Just a trade. You know, it still has this head and shoulders top look with the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and the only way this right shoulder gets blasted out is if it gets above this with some force and maybe takes back the 50-day, which it hasn't been able to. Most sectors have already all filled their gaps, so I'm thinking maybe into the Fed minutes, this fills it, so it's just a trade. You know, not everything's a swing trade, not everything's an investment. Some things are just setups and trades based on where we're at. At this point, Tech's had a big run. Looks like it took the day off. Doesn't mean it's going to take the day off again tomorrow. Maybe, you know, some money rotated into the materials. The materials are broken. It's not where the quality is, but they kind of woke up, so maybe they continue a little bit more since we're not caught in them. Some guys are short gold overnight. I think it makes sense. I didn't do it, but you know, someone's like, hey, Red Dog, what do you think about gold? I'm shorted. I said, you know what? You know, wide range candle just engulfed this little spot. If there was a night to be shorted, maybe you get some followed, you know, through to the downside tomorrow. Okay? You know, it opened here, went below a prior day's low, so this day shows more power than the past two small little up days. Just the question is, do you get small follow through? If I had a gun to my head, I'd be, you know, short gold. I'm sorry again for I shouldn't make any kind of comments towards guns, explosives. It's just, you know, old sayings. But anyway, so that's really it. It's Tuesday. Memorial Day is this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you're looking forward to it. It's a great time, family, fun, friends, fitness, whatever you do. We actually have a soccer tournament in Pennsylvania and then a lacrosse tournament. So lots of fun doing those things with the kids, running practice the night before. So if you're frustrated, make sure that you give yourself a diversion of, you know, something that makes you happy, whether it's, you know, going to your kids' sports, whether it's yourself going for a run or a swim, whether you go for a hike, whether you walk your dog, whether you play chess, whether something that makes you happy. Not saying I'm frustrated because the market's actually been all right. I'm just saying in general, to sustain yourself, okay, over time throughout what could be also a summer of low volume and not a hell of a lot of action. You have to keep yourself busy so you don't overtrade and you don't force things. Today, felt a little bit like you could easily overtrade and easily force things if you're staring at your screen for too long and you're trying to make things happen. Don't make things happen. Let things come to you. Look for the quality setups, and you'll continue to make some money and keep your sanity. I wish everyone a safe night. Hopefully there's no, you know, leg sweeps out there or bad news like last night, and then tomorrow's another day. And be happy. Glass still is, oh, look at that. Glass still is half full. It's not half empty. Just that sometimes are harder than others. Have a good night.